You're listening to Learning Leader Spotlight, interviews with corporate L&D leaders. On each episode, we sit down with key industry experts to discover more about what's happening in the world of learning and development, from current trends and insights to the most valuable lessons learned along the way. Join us for a fresh perspective on all things training and the best direction forward.
Welcome to the Learning Leader Spotlight, the podcast where we interview the learning leaders of today to help inspire the learning leaders of tomorrow. My name is Rick Ransom. I'm a relationship manager with Training Pros, the sponsor of this podcast. At Training Pros, we like to say, when you have more projects than people, then let us find you the best consultant to start your project with confidence. So with that, today's guest is Nicole Poole-McGill. I've known Nicole for over 5 years. We've worked together on some large nationwide learning programs together. Nicole is Senior Vice President, Talent Development at Digitas North America. Digitas is the networked experience agency working with brands to exist in human networks. Nicole is also owner and chief coaching officer of Coach Me Coach, a coaching practice toward empowering individuals toward authenticity. Nicole, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Rick. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. All right. Well, to kick things off, go ahead and share with our audience a 60-second overview of who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I am just delighted to be here, first of all. And I'm part of an advertising agency, Digitas, where I help people with their professional and leadership development. I lead the team for talent development, call it same thing as learning and development. And we have a framework and structure around coaching, consulting, and curriculum. So we focus on consulting with our business partners to build curriculum and design it for their needs specifically, so customized solutions. And we have a coaching component as well. So when people have those specific individual needs around their learning, they can speak one-on-one with a coach. But it can also reinforce some of the curriculum that we build and the skill sets that are required for the organization. The other part of that in owning my coaching practice is, and as we talk about, I might say coaching. It's just I have a very strong passion for it. So that's why the practice exists. And it's something that I really absolutely love to do because, when you feel like you're serving your purpose for being here, overall purpose, and mine is to support and serve, I do that through coaching. And that's what the practice is all about, empowering people through authenticity.
Wow.
I don't know if that was 60 seconds. It could have been more, but
might have been 62 seconds, but it was all good.
62, yeah.
Yeah, 62. But it really captures, how you're bringing in so many components of individual development into your day-to-day and into your role and into your organization. So with that, how have you seen, or what have been the most impactful changes that you've seen in learning and development in the last few years?
But I can think of two things. One is, okay, so we didn't share numbers before, but I've been in learning and development for 20 plus years. Even when it gets to 30, Rick, I'm just going to say 20 plus. I think that's a good place to stop. Right? So back in the day, it was those long learning days, like 8-hour days for learning, 3 days of learning. And one thing that I think that emerged that was very impactful is microlearning, like small bits of information that people need that are more targeted and is easier to resonate and apply, as opposed to a full day of learning, which I'm still not opposed to, because I think so much can go into that with the activities and the application, and you just get really engrossed in multiple concepts of a topic. But I think microlearning also allows you to save time and effort, as well as get things across to people that are more focused. So for example, if there was some training around conflict management, for instance, and you wanted to do some targeted training around a model to use or to recognize the style of conflict management and do an hour-long training around an assessment, how they showed up, and then what they can do more efficiently on the job to deal with conflict. Instead of introducing the concept in the morning and going through activities in mid-morning and then coming to the afternoon to do different things. So I think microlearning is huge. And it's been going on for quite a while, but I think it's been extremely impactful, and that's what we use at Digitas. And the other part of that is coaching. Coaching, I think, it's been around for a long time too, but it's grown so much and it's broken out into so many different facets for people. Where we focus mostly at Digitas and in my coaching practice is executive coaching, career management coaching, and presence and delivery coaching. And I'm certified in all three and master certified for presence and delivery. And that means that, with those different aspects of coaching, people get what they need. And so more executive folks may come for things around the bottom line or different things of working with multiple teams or issues with clients or challenges with clients. They also may tap into some of the things that mid-level folks do too, like dealing with imposter syndrome, building their personal brand, or working with a challenging employee or a challenging manager. Those are just some of the things that come up when it comes to coaching. But what it does is allow people to have a one-on-one conversation around what it is they want to shift or change in their career, or personally or professionally, because I really believe that those two are intertwined. You can't take one from the other. What impacts you professionally impacts you personally, and vice versa.
No, absolutely. So, a couple of things that you touched on, a big shift with the micro learning, we're getting away from those full day training sessions, or even what an hour of e-learning was considered less. And now I think it's what the young people are calling the TikTok style of learning is now the micro learning.
Yes, the
So
60 seconds,
the
like,
60 second, the 60 second, 30, yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know
the
if I would
60,
go that micro.
right, exactly. The 52 second then, there we go.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of it is the coaching aspect of it and bringing in the different human skills. And as you said, the personal and the professional being intertwined and impacting each other while still when the intertwine and the intersection of those two, whether in a personal space or a professional space, weaving in and out together. I like to think that COVID it brought work into our lives, but it also brought our lives into work. So
Yeah. I think it was already there, but it was amplified with COVID, right? Because we had to make so many shifts around, trying to keep ourselves safe and our families safe. But then after those shifts, I think people had a lot of realizations around, things are impacting me that I didn't even know before. And I want to do more of what brings me joy than more of the work and what I feel like I have to do sometimes, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. All right. So when we're talking about that the personal and the professional, and so as you start to seeing, or how do I say, oftentimes it takes seeing that behavior modeled by leaders and leaders who come before us. So
Yeah.
one of the big things that we champion is mentors and mentorship coaching. So in your opinion, so does an influential professional mentor look like in the world
Yeah.
of learning and development?
Mentors are just so important for people. And I often encourage people to get mentors. It's interesting too, when I coach for someone for the first time, I said, have you ever been coached before? They were like, yeah, I'm a mentor. And so I often end up telling or describing the distinction between a mentor versus a coach, right? The mentor is more of a telling relationship, whereas the coach is more of an asking relationship to get you where you want to be. And I think an influential professional mentor is someone who sets expectations with the individual. Like, what are your expectations of me as your mentor? And here are my expectations of you as my mentee. That's so important, the expectation conversation, because one could go in it wanting a whole lot more than what the mentor is able to give or willing to, maybe in some cases. And if you go in with different perceptions of how this is going to go, it's usually going to go left. Right. So having that expectation conversation, a good influential mentor also shares candidly some of the things that they have experienced and doesn't discourage the person, but gives them enough information to make their own decisions about which way they want to go and how they want to do things. That mentor is accessible. It's not like, oh, I have to cancel. Let's meet in a month. I have to cancel. So, you have to know that you have the bandwidth and capacity to say, I can take on a mentee and give them what they need based on our agreed upon expectations of this relationship. And I also think a mentor, just has to be empathetic and care about the success of that individual. Not a check mark like, oh, I was a mentor, but I really care about contributing to the success of this person that I'm mentoring as part of their career journey.
Absolutely. You talk about setting the expectations. So
Yeah.
in a mentor-mentee relationship, it's almost as if there is um, empowerment on both sides of the equation,
Mhm.
which is making sure the mentee is clearly articulating what their expectations are, and then if that relationship works and if there's agreement, then moving on with that. And also, you made the distinction between mentorship and coaching. And one of the other things in terms of some of the thought leadership that you've shared is also adding another component to it is a coach is not a therapist. While there is some,
Yeah.
while there is some interweaving there, and there may be some overlap, that
Mhm.
relationship is also different.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, very different. And I make that distinction because when we're talking, if I'm coaching someone, it's like, oh, I feel like I'm in therapy. I'm like, wait. I don't have therapist credentials. I would say that all day. I have so much respect for counselors, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, and their education around and their experience. And sometimes coaching feels like that because the person is exploring things in their mind that they hadn't explored before and getting things out that they're hearing for themselves for the first time. But we coaches, we focus on your present and how it impacts your future. Whereas the simplest way I can say, and not to minimize it at all, but therapists and counselors focus on your past and how it's impacting your present. That's the easiest way for me to articulate it, whereas they dive into all the things that may be triggers and things that happened in the past that are affecting your personality, your ways of doing, your communication, and things that may be hindering you from progressing in a personal or professional way.
Yeah.
So I give much respect to therapists that I am not. And when I recognize that with someone that's what they need, I actually suggest it, hoping that they receive it the way it's intended, that you can have a coach and a therapist and a mentor, because they're focusing on different aspects of your life and in your existence as you want it to be as you move through life.
Mm. Well, I think that's a great segue into getting, I guess, influences from these different aspects of the personal and the professional. So then, related to that, so then the L&D space, so that is this something that you expect to continue to see that within the next 5 to 10 years? How do you see the learning and development space changing and evolving?
Well, I'm going to say those two letters, AI.
Yeah.
And I could say I'm still a novice in AI. I go to ChatGPT when I need to polish something up, or if I have the ideas, I'm interested in going into prompt training, which is a thing, obviously. But I think with L&D, AI is just going to continue to evolve every time you look at something, there's something new in AI. And I think the impact on L&D could be, and it may already be, so forgive my ignorance if it's already out there, but creating training manuals and takeaways and decks. And I know there's AI programs out there for creating decks and all that, but it's packaging that up and, giving that to someone to deliver, or even creating bots to deliver different training to people regarding what they need to learn and what their needs are. And I know you didn't ask my opinion about that, but I'm going to share it. It's one of those things, and my thought is even beyond L&D with AI. There's joy in that, and there's some concern. And I know a lot of people may feel this way. The joy is saving time, the work being done for you, the thoroughness of what the work could be. But the concern or concerns are the human element of it all. Right. When I think of L&D, I mean, that it's been my passion for a long time. I geeked out and wrote a love letter to coaching and L&D on my LinkedIn post a few months ago, because it's something that I absolutely love because of the human aspect of it, because of the human touch, because of the connection and the relationships. And I'm not going to say AI can't do that. I haven't seen it yet, adding that human component, the human touch, as it evolves, maybe. But still, I can't get away from, it has to be some type of thought for the audience, not thinking your audience is just one facet of what something could be. They're all different individuals working with different dynamics, with different jobs, with different personal thoughts and feelings. And when you have the human component, you can tap into that. AI, not so much. But I do see that as a tool that we are probably already using and will continue to use at L&D. And I think it will have some great impacts in terms of time and availability of content. I just, wonder about that human touch and how it can stay in the environment of learning.
No, I mean, absolutely. It's when you talk about, and that question should really be is how is learning going to evolve with AI? Because I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's here to stay. And it's such something that has never been done before that has implanted itself in our day to day within our own, in our, in our day to day. And it's only going to grow and to expand. It also fills in those gaps of what, because the human connection is so important and so key. But I mean, but as you mentioned, it is like it's not going to replace humans. While
Yeah.
it can provide interactions and it can provide feedback at scale, it's never going to replace the actual human connection. But what it can do is enhance our behavior and enhance our attitudes and our thinking and behaviors towards enhancing it so that we can interact even better with each other. It can be if we continue to use it as such in a way that motivates us to work for the better.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. The key is to give people what they need, right? And to discover what that is and give them what they need and see how they're applying it so they can continue to build their skill set.
Yep, absolutely. Give the people what they need,
Give
to
the
do the
people
thing that
what
they
they
need to
need.
do and do it well. So then,
Right.
with that said, so we talk about giving people what they need, and often sometimes that can be coaching, giving them that real time feedback. So where do you see coaching in the next 5 years growing, 5 years and beyond?
Yeah. Coaching has grown just in the last 5 years. There's so many coaching facets. Like it's life coaching, it's strength coaching, it's fitness coaching, it's all the coaching, all the things. And in the next 5 years, I just see the niches growing even more, and it being very specific about what type of coaching there is. And I think if a great coach can coach you on anything, right? Because there's a foundational skills and principles of coaching that about asking questions and diving into the connection to the feelings of the individual and making sure that the solutions that are being posed are coming from them, trusting the individuals to come up with their own solution, but listening well enough to ask the right questions to make sure that they get there. Those things you can do for just about any topic. But I think a lot of people are focusing in on specific themes like, okay, I want to be coached around my strengths and not just my opportunities. Okay, I want to be coached around fitness. Okay, I want to be coached around my personal brand. And when you have that niche, it's really, you hear all the things that you can continue to ask new clients that will help them grow. But I think too that I don't want people to get so lost in all the niches, right? This is like, where do I go? And also a good coach will have like a beginning or a complimentary meeting with you to see where the chemistry is, and do I have a chemistry? I've been on sales calls where I said, actually ask someone what they need, and we had a conversation, and I'm like, you know what? I know another coach that would be better for you. My goal is to get you what you need, not to get the revenue from it, or it's because at the end of the day, yes, I can coach you, but when you really get what you need, if that is so niche, this person wanted a coach and a consultant around HR. I'm under the umbrella of HR, but I have never done an HR function. Right. But they wanted to build one. And I knew someone who was a coach and an HR consultant and would be the perfect coach for them. But if there's an instance where I feel like I could be the perfect coach, then that's my pitch based on the things that they're talking about. So in the next 5 years, I think the niches will grow. But I just urge folks to just have those initial conversations to see if the background and the ability of that coach is exactly what they need to move forward and achieve what they want to achieve.
Mhm. Yeah, you gave a lot there. I mean, in terms of when you're thinking about coaching, I mean, it's not just anybody can, not everybody can coach. I mean, it's not only it takes a certain a temperament, but also the skills and the development. I mean, you're a certified executive coach. And so it's being able to ask the questions, but it's almost being able to ask the question and getting that person there versus, giving that person advice and telling them what to do and micromanaging that
Right.
person to lead to their dreams and their hopes. No, that's not how you do it.
I mean,
It's
that's not
micromanage them to their goals. And it's getting them there based upon the skills and the training that you have. And then as you're describing it, it's going to become even more niche because how can that particular coach have a specific skill set to even get them more to the specific things that help them on their way.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
So with that, so then looking at the space and looking at learning and development, and then within organizations, so then and talking about the trend of the niche coaching, so then how can organizations use coaching as an integral part of learning and development?
Oh yeah, I think it's just an amazing tool to use, especially if you have like a curriculum, right? And these are ways that I've used it before. Building a curriculum and it being very specific around what you want to achieve. Like if you want to develop managers, because often managers go in, they're this individual contributor, they do great at their job, they're promoted, and now they have people under them. It's like, whoa, you didn't tell me I had to take care of everybody else. Well, I knew, but I didn't know just how much, right? And when they don't have that training, they often mimic managers that they've had in the past, bad or good, right? And then it may be some skill, but not as developed as it should be. So if you have a management program, you can have the different things that you want your managers to focus on to build up their management skills and then add coaching to it. So they experience it as a group, but they're really experiencing it as an individual because they all have individual needs. And then coaching as this part two of something like that will allow them to take their specific needs and have one-on-one conversations with the coach so they can build an action plan toward building their skill set. So that's an amazing way to use coaching. Another way is to have coaching office hours, like a coaching program where coaches are available and it's different people, individual contributors, leaders, managers have challenges, goals they want to meet, aspirations toward promotion or getting into another facet of the company. They can go talk to the coach and say, well, this is what I want to do. And then the coach would go in with those questions. Where are your interests? What makes you so interested in this area? What is your networking ability? And who have you talked to? And how do you think you can approach? And how would you feel if you got to that place? Just making sure that that individual is they're thinking about it like this, but the coach allows you to think about things like this, right? Bringing more of the information in your mind to front of mind so you can explore different things to achieve what you want to achieve. So that's just on the individual basis to sign up and go talk to a career coach or an executive coach to make some of those things happen. So that's another way to add coaching. So I like getting creative with coaching. It's a great reinforcement tool, and it's a great tool to use pre-training just to make sure people focus on what they need and then go get the training that they need. Yeah.
Again, you laid a lot out there in terms of ways to look at coaching within an organization. New leaders, yeah, absolutely. Individual contributors are good at their job, so they must be good at this. So just let them figure it out. And so then how do you arm them and empower them and give them the thing that they need that they may not necessarily be aware of? And then when you talk about coaching one-on-one hours, I feel like that's another opportunity where individuals can come in and they may have an awareness of what they may want, but as you said, their thinking may be like this. And so allowing a space to connect with somebody who can ask those clarifying questions to get them to expand their thinking, to get them to approach situations and maybe find solutions to problems that they may not even have known that they had problems in the first place, or sticking points, or self-limiting behaviors, or so on and so forth like that.
Yeah, definitely. And as a coach, you do ask those clarifying questions, but you also have to be willing to ask the hard questions,
Asking the hard
right?
questions, absolutely.
Yeah, the hard questions and based on your observations or about fear. I often ask, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Because fear comes up quite a bit around why people won't move, why they're in
Right.
hesitation mode to move forward, to address the challenge, to achieve the goal, to reset or shift the dynamic of a team if they're an executive and they have a team that is more combative than collaborative. How do you reset that? What would you do? And what's the impact if you don't do it? So asking those hard questions is part of the experience too, depending on what the situation calls for.
Absolutely. And speaking of hard question, although this may not be a hard question. So we're talking about coaching. You have your own coaching practice, Coach Me Coach. So then talk a little bit about it. So what made you start it? And can you tell us a little bit more about how you approach your private practice?
Yeah. Well, if you haven't guessed yet, I have a true passion for coaching. And it's sometimes I coach people on finding their purpose because I had the gift of finding my purpose, which is to support and serve others. And I do that through coaching. You can do it in a number of different ways, but coaching is the way that I love to support and serve others. It's such a privilege to be in a space or people to allow me in a space to help them discover and explore the different opportunities they have based on their situations. And that's why Coach Me Coach exists. And I focus on executive and mid-level professionals, but I work with junior professionals too, or I like to call early careerists as well. And I focus on creating personal brand, managing imposter syndrome, and also with folks who want to make a difference in in their careers and their career journey of being promoted and advancing in their careers. So it's really focused on, that empowerment through authenticity as well. Because being a presence and delivery coach, that's a little different from the executives in career management, where that is a telling and asking coaching relationship because you're trying to build the skill of their executive presence or their presentation skills, storytelling skills. So that's more, I call it hands on, but it's more so, okay, let's talk about your gaps and what you do well, what you don't well. Here's some things that you can do. So it's a little different. I absolutely love doing that as well because the transformation is so quick and it's the small things that make the biggest difference when it comes to delivery and your executive presence. But all of that is supported by authenticity and that empowerment because so many times we come in feeling like we have to be mechanical and robotic and this super professional person, and we have to hide ourselves to show something else that's expected. And I really wanted that to be part of the theme and value of my coaching practice is that your authenticity. And it's not you going into something and you have to be super professional. What if you're authentic and, be professional? It's just part of what you do, but you're still being you, right? You're giving a presentation, but you're still being you. You don't have to show up with this person or being a person that you're not. So it kind of carries two things in the practice with that authenticity. I lead with that, with the coaching. I lead with that with some of the workshops. And also with even sometimes I do speaking engagements, and that's part of it too. I have to be authentically me, and I want you to be authentically you in everything you do. So that's Coach Me Coach and why I started the practice. Have just a crazy geeked out passion for coaching and helping others. And I learned so much from the people that I work with too. It's definitely reciprocal because it's great to get to know people, learn about what they do, learn about what they love, what they want to achieve. And I get so much from it.
There's sometimes when you can get to that place where you can be naturally yourself and be authentic in a situation, there's a certain level of confidence and almost a magic that comes across when it's there. And it's not easy. Sometimes it's, for those it's easy and great. Yeah. But those it's not easy for what often need coaching to get to that place where they can allow that, that authenticity to shine through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's mostly we're programmed, especially going to the business world. Well, you have to be like this in order to be successful. Right. And that's not true anymore. And the thing is, I tell people sometimes the older you get, the less you care about what people think.
Mhm.
And just be who you are. But when you are coming in, it was just like, I have to make this impression. Well, you can make an impression and still be you. Right.
Mhm.
And that's what I coach to, that and it's stressful to be what you are not and try to keep it up every day and then still try to perform and still try to advance. It's just like you're picking up weights one at a time instead of just letting them go. You can still be professional. What's professional look like to you? You can still be effective. You can still perform and still show up like this is Nicole. You're getting Nicole right now on the podcast. This is just me. I'm not gonna come crazy and not be professional, but this is part of who I am instead of me trying to be part of something else or showing up with expectations of other things and other people.
I go back to the analogy of the thinking that's tight and controlled like this versus
Mhm.
expanded. And often it
Yeah.
takes that allowing that and having that authenticity and allowing the thinking to expand and being
Mhm.
comfortable with that expansion really
Yes.
allows for the deeper human connection, which we talk about, which is so important and so key.
Yeah, it is definitely key.
Mhm. Well, speaking of magic, so if I could hand you a magic wand talking about
Hmm.
change and transformation, what is one thing that you would change about L&D?
Ooh. One thing I would change, and you know what, anything can change, but I like L&D the way it is. One thing I would change is the way businesses approach L&D, right? Because if you don't have people growing in the organization, it's hard for your organization to grow. So making learning and development a priority, just as important as profitability, is the ability and the capacity to take the people who are making the organization possible and helping them grow personally and professionally as they advance and exist in the organizations that they're in. And I've seen before where organizations like, got to get the business done. It's fast paced, it's going, and the individuals there, they're doing the work, but they're not necessarily growing their skill set to become a manager. Because ideally, if you're an individual contributor, you're having different opportunities to show your leadership before going into a management position. So it's not as shocking when you get in that position. In any business that focuses on learning and development as a priority, and not all do, I think can grow a lot faster. The people are a lot happier because you're investing in their growth, in their development, and everyone benefits, right? Everyone benefits from it. So I know I kind of switched the question around, say L&D is perfect. No, I'm not saying that, although we're close, right? In the function itself. But I think it needs to be a business priority to make sure that the growth of their people will, and it will definitely impact the growth of their organization.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll just repeat that back to you because it's so well said, which is impacting the growth of your people will impact the growth of your organization. It's
Absolutely.
just reflected there. So then, as a learning leader and for other aspiring learning leaders, what are you reading today, or what have you read that has been really good for that you would recommend for personal and professional growth?
One thing I have read, and I was introduced to the book through different reels on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's a book by Neil Robbins called "Let Them." Have you heard of it?
It's like a hot new thing just came out, didn't it?
It is. It's hot.
Yes.
It is great because when I heard the concept of "Let Them," I'm like, wait a minute. Because it's really, and for those who don't know, I'm not letting the cat out the bag, but let them is a theory that focuses on when people are telling you or acting a certain way and causing some stress, or you're taking on a lot of things because you want to change things. It's really a control thing. And if you just let people be who they are and let them do what they do, you will release all the weight of that stress and trying to control things. Because if you let go of all of that, you have more capacity to be who you are and do what you want and live your best life. And I think that's so important for leaders, and both personally and professionally, and anyone really. Because personally, it's like you're releasing things that you cannot control. Basically, that's what it is. Releasing things and then acting differently. The dynamic itself changes when you release and let things go that you cannot control and focus on the things that you can. And professionally, it's true too, right? If you're a leader, and of course, you need people to perform, you can't just let them do anything. But if someone has a particular characteristic about themselves, but they still get things done, you can let them do it their way. Let them. It doesn't have to be your way. And when that happens, they feel a release and you feel a release too. You can give a deadline to make sure that deadline is complete, but you don't necessarily have to be in control of everything that they do in order for success to occur, especially from your perspective. So I think I think I'm on chapter 3 or 4 in the book,
Okay.
but I'm still like changing the page. I'm like, oh, it's late. Let me put this down and go back to it. And this is not a commercial for it. Maybe I should contact Mel. This is a commercial for your book. But I really think it's something that could impact people, and she talks about it professionally and personally throughout the book. So that's what I'm reading right now. If people see this and comment about if they've already read it or if they're in the process of reading, I'm interested to hear their perspective as well.
Okay. Well, I will pick that one up. I've heard that one up before, and I will comment in my own comment post section to talk about it because I'm a big fan of Mel Robbins, and also just a way of perspective shifting and looking at things differently and things you can take control of and things that you have to let control over. And I think you also really talk about the wisdom of letting go, letting people be their authentic selves and letting that happen in order to really create that authentic place where we can thrive and do the best work that we can for an organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That comes up a lot in coaching as well. It's like, what's in your control, what's out of your control, and now where do we focus? Right. Yeah.
Nicole, I love all this. Thank you so much. So with that,
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
absolutely. A big thank you for showing up here and appearing on our podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. And because of that, I want to thank you. We have a gift for you appearing on our podcast. Training Pros is going to plant 5 trees in your name. We worked with the charity World Reforestation as a way to reforest by planting trees. So that is our gift to you.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. What a wonderful and unique gift. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
It does.
To the next generation, talking about wisdom. You're imparting wisdom and coaching, and we impart trees so that they can help them have a place to sit under and read a book.
Oh, awesome.
Which could be let them. So with that said, I'm wrapping it up and saying thank you, Nicole, and thank you, audience, for making it to the end of this podcast. We truly enjoyed you listening. Welcome. Join us again for another episode of Learning Leader Spotlight.
Thanks for joining us for the latest episode of Learning Leader Spotlight, interviews with corporate L&D leaders. You'll find links in the show notes to any resources mentioned on today's show. If you're enjoying our podcast, please subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave us a 5-star review.